Candace.
Good afternoon. How are you? Well, good morning. Good morning and
Yes,
afternoon to you too.
yes. Good morning, good afternoon. How are you today? Happy
I am good.
Friday. Oh my God, it's Friday the 13th.
I know. I know. When I was younger, Dr. Tyra, I used to be afraid of that. I guess
Did
from that
you?
movie. I did. I used
Oh,
to ask my mom, I gotta go to school. It's Friday the 13th.
you thought Jason was coming for you?
I know, right? I was like, I gotta go to school. It's Friday the 13th. So yeah, when I was younger, I was a little afraid of that. But now I'm grown. Okay, I'm not gonna lie. Now I'm grown. I still have those little bit of superstitions. I'm like, I
Hmm.
hope I, go wrong with the car. I hope I don't get a flat. You know,
Hmm.
Tell about it being
Yeah.
Friday the 13th. You let it just roll off.
I know. Look, I know. So no, I wasn't really superstitious when it came to that.
Okay,
I
good.
just whatever happens, happens. I wasn't, all over the place with that. So it was all good.
Good. Yeah, because I was one that's like, oh Lord, what's going on?
Right, 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 right. Hello, everybody. Thanks for joining us today.
Hey everyone, how are you? Welcome, welcome, welcome. Hey,
Yes. All right. So we're going to get ready to get started, and we're going to start with the tea.
yes,
All right, y'all. So today, the tea today, oh my goodness, it's been a crazy week. This week has been on fire, okay, with so many different things happening. So the first story I'm going to touch on today for the tea is Kevin Samuels. Well, that was like, whoa, that was really mind blowing last week hearing about his passing, and it was just like his untimely passing because who passes away in their 50s like this, and it
I
was just
know.
like, whoa, hearing about what happened. I know last year it was a moment where they was trying to silence him because of all of the things that he was saying that was degrading to black women and things like that. And I was just like, no, don't silence him. I'm like, if they silence everybody for the things that they said, we won't have nobody talking. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
And I'm like, and if y'all didn't silence 45, why silence this dude? So we might as well just keep it going, you know?
Absolutely,
And so, I
absolutely.
mean, we know he had a very strong following and very strong backing. I did not agree with a lot of things that he said. He made sense on some areas, but other areas I did not approve of. But at the end of the day, you know, he is, fellow black man who's passed on. May he rest in peace.
Absolutely. You're absolutely. My take on that, yes. My heart goes out to his mother and to his family because, especially how his mom found out. She had, allegedly found out through social media. And so, yes, I agree with you, Dr. Tyler. He had some points. However, his delivery, ooh, it was kind of mean spirited. But rest in peace. And, you're absolutely right. I'm glad he was not silenced because we don't want to do that. Because if we're going to silence him, you're absolutely right. We need to silence everybody. See, sometimes I need to be silenced then. So I totally get that. However, it's unfortunate. And, have God have mercy on his soul. And my heart goes out to his mother. Absolutely.
Yes. Yeah, I totally agree with everything you said. Yes. So our second story this today is, oh my goodness, is Mental Health Month. And so this one story did really struck a chord, and that was the passing of Naomi Judd. We all knew she passed away, and when we know she was in her 70s, and so hearing that she was in her 70s passing away, the number one thing that we all go to is natural causes. However, the plot thickens this week when it was released that she died from a self-inflicted gunshot wound. I was like, wow, it struck a chord because it was just like, oh my goodness. I know they said that she suffered with mental illness for many, many years, but the idea that she passed away, from a self-inflicted wound, which, knowing about suicide, we never hear many women doing that. Okay. That's not common for women to do. And so for this to occur, it was very, very surprising. My heart goes out to Ashley and her Winona, because I know this is, very very hurtful for them. I know this is, losing their mom, and then losing their mom the way that they had, the way that she passed, and then the whole struggle that they had their whole life. Because mental illness doesn't affect one person, it affects an entire family. And the thing is, she
Absolutely.
had a lot of pain, and the idea that those ladies, that was something that they had to handle their entire life, from small children all the way up through the teen years, when we know the teen years was difficult, right? And then going into adulthood, and now both of them, approaching older adulthood, and then this happens, so.
Yes, it's very, I mean, that kind of knocked me out. It really did. I don't know. For those that don't know, I'm a huge country music fan, and I love the Judds. And to hear that about Naomi, which I've heard over several years, that Naomi battled with the mental illness, such as depression, for so many years, and she was even on medication, and so she battled with it for years, even in her 20s, up until now. And then it just got, I guess, so bad that she just decided not to live with that anymore on her own time. And it's really sad because mental illness, like you said, Dr. Tyra, it definitely affects the whole family, the entire family. So my heart goes out to them as well. And we can't say enough about how mental illness affects everyone and not just the person itself. That's living with it. That's why we do shows like this. So yeah, and then to find out, like you said, the pot thickens, and to find out the magnitude and how she came to her demise. Yes. So, and you're right. Not many women take that route. Not at all. I know Don Cornelius did. Soul Train, he did, and but most do others another way, and it's just really, really extremely horrific and sad, but I understand. Something can be sad, but you can still have understanding. And I understand. So my heart goes out to them as well. And like the mental health minute, like we always try to encourage and inspire and bring some type of awareness to
Hmm.
health. That is why we do this show. So
Yes.
if you're battling with anything, you bring them on in here. Share this live. Share this live.
Hmm.
Share, please do. So
Yes.
yes, my heart goes out. Absolutely.
Yes. 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 So we get ready to go into our next topic, but first we're going to have a word from our sponsor. All right.
Yes. So welcome, welcome, welcome. Before we get into all our welcomes for the Mental Health Minute, and thank you everyone for joining. And D, you not late. Thank you so much for joining us. We love you. We love you. We love you. But before we get into that, as Dr. Tyra put up that little snippet there about the Elevate 360, the next class start for that will be July 1st, and the price has changed. So that is a class that I teach on mental health, on depression, trauma, anxiety, and it's called Elevate 360. The price has changed, so please get into it. And the next class is a 5-week class, and it
Yeah.
starts July 1st. That is the next class. And it's
Awesome.
every Monday, live with me. Live. That's a live class. I rarely do those, so y'all don't want to miss that one. So,
Yes.
everyone, welcome to the Mental Health Minute with myself and my beautiful co host, Dr. Tyra. We are back. Yes, we're back. We've been gone for a minute, Dr. T.
Girl, I know we both had so much going on that we had to take a minute, take a few minutes to do some things for ourselves,
Ex-
and so now we're coming back. And so, we having our meetings, trying to make sure we deliver quality viewing for everyone and have all our topics together. And yes, so
Absolutely. Yes. So we are back. And today's topic, because this is Mental Health Month. For y'all that don't know, now you know. This is Mental Health Awareness Month. And the Mental Health Minute wanted to basically for this month is to bring all types of mental health awareness, which we do it all the time because, hey, it's the Mental Health Minute. However, for today's topic, we're going to talk about Black mental health. And yes, mental health is universal. Everyone has it. Everyone. Mental health is just like physical health. You got to take care of both. Just as you go to the doctor for your physical, such as your blood pressure and your glucose, and get all the vitals and everything checked, you have to do mental checks as well, which Dr. T and myself do them as well. However, there is a bit of a difference when it comes to Black mental health. And if you don't know, we're going to get into that today on the Mental Health Minute. So, Dr. Tyra, are you ready? Are you ready for our amazing topic today?
Yes, I am.
Okay, so Dr. Tyra, and I always ask the audience, please join us. This is not just a lecture that Dr. Tyra and I just come on and do. We ask that the audience engage. Please put your questions in there. Ask us anything we hear. What we don't know, we'll go out and find it and we'll bring it back to you. So please join in with the topic and the questions. So the question I have today is for the expert, and that would be Dr. Tyra, and I chime in as well, is stigma. I want to talk a little bit about stigma because we're talking about Black mental health today. So, the stigma of strength, Dr. Tyra, what
Mhm.
does that word do to Black women? In your professional and personal opinion, what does that word strength do to Black women?
The word strength, what it does, I feel that it does to Black women is it basically puts us on a pedestal, right? That anything we do, we have to always win. And I think what happens is it puts women, and Black women in particular, into to a whole nother mindset. They can't have they can't have moments when they get depressed. They can't have moments of any type of signs of weakness, right? Because of they have to have the strength to continue to move on and do everything that they need to do, right? To maintain the family, to maintain, everything, and that's what I think it is. It's like we have the positives to strength, whereas we like, yes, that we are motivated, we are positive, we're doing everything we can do, for ourselves and for our family. But then we have that whole negative mindset also, where it comes that we have to basically put all of our needs aside and focus and have the strength for everybody else. We can't carry the whole world. We can't do that.
Right? That's right. Absolutely.
What does that mean to you, Dr. Candace?
Yes, beautifully said. Yes. So for me, that stigma of strength. What does that word do for Black women? Absolutely. For Black women, that stigma of strength, that word strength, exactly like you said, it places us, well, actually, it places us in rooms and different situations we don't belong. And also, it created a false hope that we are all right when we're not. Does that make sense? Ladies and gentlemen, and Dr. Timer, it created a false hope that you are all right because you're a strong Black woman. Yes, we are, but we are also weak. We also hurt. We have pain. We cry. We become vulnerable human beings. We go through just like everyone else. And case in point, when and this I hope they're trying to change that now, but you have more Black women that die in childbirth or after care than any other race. Because when we say we're hurting or this is going on, we're not attended to because they feel we can. And when I say they, I'm saying universal because sometimes it's our own people. Because they feel we can endure the pain because we are strong Black women. So to me, I think it has created a false hope and a false sense of security that we're okay when we're not. Yes. So we would love to hear from you too, the audience. What does that word mean? And yes, we are, all women are across the board, but we have that, we've been hearing that a lot and we grew up with that strong Black women, and I'm pretty sure the audience have heard that as well, that people say that. I don't hear too often strong Asian woman, strong white woman, strong this and that, but I hear a lot strong
Never.
Black woman. And like I said, that has created a false sense of security that they have said y'all can have that because you can endure it. So that's why when someone say, "Oh, Dr. Candace, you're so strong," or just "Candace, you're so strong," that's an insult. Don't do that because you say I can take and endure whatever. I can't. I'm human. I'm just like the next woman. So I don't like that term. So when I created, when we were doing these questions, and I went over that because that affects our mental health. Would you agree, Dr. T? We are placed in a
I
certain,
totally agree.
and it affects
Hmm.
our mental health, like you beautifully said
Yeah.
earlier in your statement
Hmm.
about the strong black woman that
Hmm.
false security. So then
Yes.
we feel we have to show up, and with that cause, everyone should know that as well. When you
Right.
feel you got to show up, how that make you feel, Dr. T? And how would that
When
make
you
your clients feel?
when you feel like you have to show up, and if it's a time that you don't feel like showing up, it makes you feel bad. Because at this point, it's like you feel like it's a whole obligation, like you don't have a choice. You know what I mean? And when you're put in a situation where you don't have a choice in the matter, that's when you're put in a whole other mindset, and it's just like, and that's when you feel like you can't break. You know what I mean? At no point can you break it down. Can you break? You have to always, show up, so to speak.
Exactly. And you're absolutely right. And it starts to wear on our mental health because now we have anxiety or we can get depression from that. Because we feel I have to do that. And that obligation can turn into false loyalty. You ever been loyal to someone but weren't loyal to yourself? That's called false loyalty. That
Wait
ain't
a
true.
minute, that's a whole nother topic, because
Yeah, we're
there's a
gonna do
lot of
that
people
too.
that's we're not loyal to ourselves all the time.
That's right. Where you're loyal to someone else because and you're not loyal to yourself because we gotta be strong. And then the mental health it becomes tainted. Let's call it that. It becomes tainted. Absolutely, absolutely. So yeah, right. Gospel Pepper said, "Amen." Absolutely. So that's one. So my next one is why, and I'm asking the audience as well. Please chime
Hmm.
in, Dr. Tyra. Why do you think so many black men? This is kind of a two-parter
Hmm.
don't either believe in therapy or don't seek out therapy. Because you got some that believe in it but say, no, I'm good. I'm going to try on my own. Why do you
Hmm.
believe that?
Number one, I think it's because when it comes to black men in therapy, I think sometimes a lot of them feel like they supposed to have the strength also, and that they supposed to be able to maintain control. So I can't tell nobody I'm going to therapy, just like they can't they hide and mask having problems, right? And this is just my opinion, because everybody has their own, reasons for, feeling that, a black men neglect going to therapy, right? But the thing is just like, when you sit back and you really think about it, it's like we have been told for years, don't tell strangers our issues, take it to church, and it's just like, and with the whole concept of go take it to church, that whole stigma right there is an issue, because the thing is, I'm like, okay, so if you're taking it to church and you're taking it to your pastor, what if your pastor don't have it together, and you taking your issues to him and he already got his own issues, so you pretty much just took it nowhere, and so I think, with that, I think that, again, with black men, is, I believe, is that they had to have the strength to do what they needed to do, because they supposed to be the pillar of the community. They supposed to, be able to handle everything, handle work problems, handle the problems at work, the problems at home, the problems with the children, take care of everything. And because they have been the providers, it's hard for them to seek out the help that they need. I mean, because when you think about it, when we look at black men in mental health, we need to look at black men in physical health too. Okay, because some of their physical health
Yes.
is impaired also, because they haven't taken the time out to go to the doctors to get themselves cared for. You know what I mean? So, yeah.
Absolutely. You're absolutely right. The physical and the mental, everyone, it goes hand in hand. It's not good. And a lot of times we take care of one and don't take care of the other. We will have a topic on that as well. It goes hand to hand. They work together. And my reasoning behind a lot of why a lot of black men don't seek mental health services and talk to people is, of course, like Dr. Tyra stated, but I also think shame. I also think shame as well. I also think there's ego we all know, especially as women, that can be attached to them. But I also think ego. I also think shame. fear of being judged, especially if they go see a woman, what's she thinking about me? If I go see another man, he think I may think I'm weak. So it could be shame. It could be fear of the unknown. I don't know what to expect. I've never been to a therapist. What happens in those sessions? It can be that. Also, the ones that don't believe in it were not taught, because like I said, it's a two-parter. The ones that don't believe, because like you said so beautifully stated, Dr. Tyra, is that we were taught what's in this house stays in this house, or we take it to church. You do know, ladies and gentlemen, what's in the house stay in the house also is trauma, depression, anxiety, sickness, illness, drama, and everything else. You leave that in the house too. You kind of want to clean your house and get that out. So we got to stop that behavior and that mindset of what's in the house stays in the house. And a lot of in black households, African American households, that is a lot how we were raised. I am a Gen Xer, so that was definitely how I was raised. What's in this house, stay in this house. You don't tell them people our business. That's how you were raised. So, and that includes the hurt and the pain as well. So a lot of times why a lot of black men don't seek therapy, like I said, is fear and shame, the ego, and the stigma of, if I go speak with someone, something must be wrong with me. There's nothing wrong with me. You do know, to the audience, that just because you talk to someone, it's not saying you have a mental illness. What Dr. Tyra and I have said on many shows, everyone has mental health. Not everyone has a mental illness. So just because you go see someone and talk about your feelings, and sometimes it takes more than just family and friends. It takes, a mental health professional. So they seeing it through a trained lens. They seeing what you're going through a trained eye, and they're able to put another spin, another perspective, and give tools and tips. That's it. They're able to help. So just because you go see someone does not mean that there's something wrong. Because everyone needs someone to talk to, including myself. I'm not ashamed, and I love saying this. I'm a therapist with a therapist. I love that. I need that. That's how I'm able to be great for my patients and my clientele. And I'm able to come on platforms like this and be able to sit and give what I have to give, because I come here whole, ready, and healed. If I didn't have a therapist, I wouldn't be able to do this. So on my take, that is one of the reasons why I think the black men don't seek out therapy. You agree, Dr. D?
I totally agree. I totally agree. Because I didn't even think about shame,
Yeah.
as one, because it was just like I know, growing up with, a father in the household who I know probably needed therapy for things that he was going through, right? And
Mhm.
it's just like I'm like, it could have been shame, but then I know as a provider, we provide, but we don't think about taking care of ourselves. You
That's
know
right.
what I mean? And the thing is, I think a lot of people worry about taking care of self when it's too late.
That's right.
So that's why
Absolutely.
it's always good, and why we always say you need to start taking care of it early on instead of
Exactly.
waiting for the last minute.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And I like how you said a provider. A lot of us are, and please listen, audience, are
Mhm.
providers and not receivers.
Mhm.
We provide and we give
Mhm.
till the cup is dry. Nothing else
Yes.
is in the cup. And as soon
Mhm.
as somebody want to help you, oh, I'm okay. You don't
Mhm.
know how to be a receiver. Mental
Right.
health really want to teach you how to receive.
Yes.
Receive. Let people love on you. Let people check on you, and also check
Mhm.
on yourself.
Yes.
Check on yourself. Learn how
Yep.
to be a receiver.
Mhm.
Absolutely. So my next one, oh, this one kind of hit home with me. My
Mhm.
next one, Dr. T, and to the audience as well, please chime in. Teresa's Trista. Hey, Trista, how are you? She said, that's me. So, Trista, when you saying that's me, you saying you don't know how to receive the mental health men that got you.
Mhm.
Learn how to receive.
Mhm.
Let people love
Yep.
on you. Let people care. Let people in.
Yes.
That's
Yep.
right. That's right.
Gotta let them in.
That's right. So my next one is, do you think, Dr. Tyler, do you think generational and parental guide, like our guidance, play a
Mhm.
role in our mental health in the black
Yeah.
community?
I believe so.
Could you explain?
Yeah,
Okay.
I believe so, because the thing is like, if we don't see our parents, right, like going to therapy, right, or even having a conversation with you about therapy, that's a problem, right? We need to be able to have those conversations with our loved ones about seeking help when things is not going the way we want them to go mentally, right? And it's just like, and I think it does start at home. When you go to school, the school will have guidance counselors and everything in place for the children, right? But it's up to the parents to basically talk to your child about going to using those services. You know what I mean? Because when you think about it, those services haven't really gotten used to the full capacity until recently. You know what I mean? But I'm gonna say within the last 15 years. You know what I mean? I'm a Gen Xer also, and I know we never used those services. It was like the guidance counselor child only seen them once a year, if that. I ain't seen my guidance counselor in high school until I got the time to go to college. When he told me, I think you need to go to a trade school. College is not for you. Either a trade school or the military. That was, and I'm like, are you serious right now? I'm like, that alone should have sent me to a therapist, but I did what I had to do, you know. But it's like always people like that will bring you down and tell you things that you really don't need to hear. You know what I mean?
Yes,
Because they supposed to be building you up. But then when you look at the nature of guidance counselors in the past, like, I'm gonna say 30, 40 years ago, the level of therapy that they did in their offices does not equate to what we see happening now in
yes,
offices. You know what I mean? Because they pretty much just focused on careers. They
hmm,
ain't focused on your whole overall health, your
exactly.
overall mental health anyway.
That's right. Hmm.
You know.
That's right.
So
Yes, I totally agree
how
with you.
about you, Dr. Candace?
It starts in the home. I totally agree with you. It should start in the home. Sometimes it doesn't because a lot of times, I see you got baby boomers and then some for parent or parental guidance or whatever your caregivers are, especially if your grandmama raising you. Sometimes it doesn't start in the home because they're not with the mental health thing. A lot of them like, what's that? Just go to the church and pray about it and go eat right, go and get a job, keep your credit good. I don't know, sometimes, so you kind of taught that, just get a job. You fine, and so it should start in the home. But like I said, a lot of times it doesn't, but it actually plays a role because see, I'm a mom of four and I definitely know kids don't do what you say, they do what you do. I know that. My kids be looking at me. I be walking on eggshells in my own damn house, so I won't trip up because I need these kids to do right. So it really does play a part when you are with, especially when you are with a parent or parents that are battling with something themselves. When they're battling with something, whether it be anxiety and depression, and you're not familiar with that, but once you become an adult, you start to say, and I'm pretty sure some of us have, especially here, some in the audience, probably look back as adult women and men now and say, you know what? I think my mom did have anxiety or depression, or my dad, or they went through something mentally, but you didn't understand as a child. So and when we don't have that understanding and we don't know, we can pass it down. We can pass those traits down, or we can be traumatized from some of those things. And if we're traumatized, we will start to make decisions from a traumatized mindset. Does that make sense? I hope everybody understanding what I'm saying. When you're dealing with trauma and
Makes
you're
a whole
not,
lot of sense.
you make decisions from a trauma mind state. If your
Hmm.
parents have battled and suffered with depression, and you were
Hmm.
raised in a depressed home,
Hmm.
9 times out of 10, statistics says you will have some type of depression, or you will mimic some of the behaviors. You will be
Hmm.
calm, you will shut down during
Hmm.
arguments, or you may be aggressive.
Hmm.
It can go a lot of ways. So I think a lot of times generational and parental guidance
Hmm.
have a lot to do. Now that's the parental part. The
Hmm.
generational is, especially with Black mental health, is what we went through and what our ancestors went through.
Hmm.
It was a domino effect. It kept coming around. It's like a
Right.
circle, everyone. It comes around. What our ancestors went through, our great great grandmothers went through it, and then went through it and went through it, and then it got trickled down to our grandparents to our parents. And we picked up some of that because how our parents raised and some of their behaviors. Generational. That's where people call it, generational curses. I like to call it generational conflict. Because, see, a curse is something that you have, it's something that is put upon you where you have to either get off you by some type of, I don't know, fairy dust or some type of prayer. But conflict, you can get off you yourself. A curse, you need help. Conflict, you can get that up off you. It's called change behavior and a changed lifestyle, and you no longer live there. So I don't call it a generational curse. I call it a generational conflict. You don't have to take that stigma. You don't have to. And a lot of us, as African Americans, and we feel we have to. We feel, well, our people been enslaved, and our people was been through all of this. So this is why I'm like this. I'm going to sit here today as a black woman and say that is a lie. Yes, my people went through A, B, and C. Absolutely. And it made me the woman I am today, including Dr. Tyra. However, we don't have to stay in that mindset as black women. Does that make sense, Dr. T? Absolutely, because I said doctor when I said her name. So you get where I'm going with this? Some of
Yep.
us feel I have to stay
Hmm.
here
Right.
because
You don't have
this is
to.
where my people are.
Hmm.
There you go. You don't
But the
have to.
thing is just like is people put themselves in that mindset where they just feel like they have to stay there, and it's
That's
just
right.
like just because that happened to them in the past don't mean you have to stay there now. Now it's
Yes,
time for you to work on you and
yes.
get where you need to be. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Like when you think about the things that our ancestors went through, they went through that so that we could be where we are today, to have the
That's right.
freedoms and the things that we have that's afforded to us.
Absolutely.
So, but that's a personal choice to stay stuck.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I will say, and a lot of them are stuck by default because know better, do better. And then some are stuck because they stuck. But then some are stuck by default because our ancestors, I believe, went through what they went through, and we're where we are today because of that. Two black doctors are able to have a platform and talk about it and be about it. Our
That's
people
right.
lived it, and now we are living it, but in a different way. Do you
Yeah,
actually agree with that? We're
I
living
agree.
just a little bit of it, but in a more sophisticated way. How about that?
Hmm. Yeah, and I mean, I think we found other ways to handle it.
Yes,
We found other ways to
yes,
handle it. You know what I mean? The resources that we have are a lot
mhm,
different than the resources that they had 100 years ago, 50 years
exactly,
ago, hell, 20 years ago.
exactly,
All the
absolutely,
resources are so much different. So we can just know how to
absolutely.
handle it and navigate it, and not put ourselves in that type of stuck mindset.
That's right. Absolutely. Just as generational. Back in the 50s, 60s, even before then. But you know how you go in stores back in the day, and still sometime to this day, even in the 80s, 90s, and this generation here, and you go in the store and the black people are followed or they feel that we can't afford. To this day, in 2022, have you ever went in the store and felt like you had to buy something? Because you went in to look for something, they didn't have it, and you just feel like I kind of don't want to walk out. I know I've had that anxiety. I've
We've
had that.
had that, yeah.
Have you
I
ever had
think
that,
every
Tyra?
I had that. I've had that. I've
That's
had that
generational
happen.
conflict. That
But
comes
I,
down from our
yeah,
generation.
or felt like you had to strike up a conversation with them to prove that
Yes,
you're not going to, like, I'm not here for that.
yes,
Because that's what we do
absolutely.
too. We strike up conversations with people that we normally wouldn't, so that they
Yes.
would believe that we're not there for X, Y, and Z.
Exactly, absolutely. That is called what people will call that's the generational because our people had to deal with that and look how it came off to us. Whether watching television, whether watching our ancestors go through it, our immediate family go through it, it comes off on us. You see how it jumped on us? Because it's been going on for so many years and now we feel like that. Because today, like I stated, in 2022, I kind of still get that sometimes. I walk in Nordstrom's and I'm like, I go in there looking for this certain lip gloss that I only get from Nordstrom's. And when they don't have it, I'm like, but I gotta buy something because I just don't want to walk out. And I hate that I have to feel that way. But you see how the mental health plays part in that because now I'm feeling a certain way. I'm feeling less than. I'm not less than, but I'm feeling a lot inadequate. That Candace, maybe you should buy something so they won't look at you this way. I shouldn't feel that way. And so that's where that comes on. That's that generational thing where I'm working on that diligently. I am. So, and audience, please let us know if you can relate or you know someone that can relate to this. And that part has sometimes nothing to do with race because other races can have that challenge as well. So please let us know. My next one for you, Dr. T, and for the audience as well. How is Black mental health different from mental health, in your opinion?
I think black mental health versus mental health, I believe that because of the race piece, that's the main difference is the race, and it's just like we as black people are looked upon in one way. Like we're not supposed to get angry. We're not supposed to have any type of aggression. We're not supposed to, it's like the supposed to, right? We're not supposed to have any of these things, right? So it's like we have been stigmatized where when things happen, it's automatically a black problem, right? Whereas when other races do things, it's just like, oh, they have mental health. There's nothing wrong with them. When you look at things that happen within the prison system, and mental health, right? It's just like if a white person commits a crime, they immediately take them and they will how can I put it? Um, you know what I'm thinking, Dr. Candace. They will say that it's a mental health issue, whereas if a black person has the same crime, their crime is looked upon as a crime and mental health is not a part of it, failing of realizing that, we have mental health issues too. We have things that happen to us. We have things that go wrong, but because of our race, they try to say that we don't have mental health. They don't think we do. They think we're again. Here's that word, strength again. We strong. We handle everything. Because we don't. Because we good at masking it. But then the question is, are we really good at masking?
Good
Because the
question.
behaviors come out in a whole other way where it might not come out in the traditional tearfulness, with depression, tearfulness, not eating, things like
Mhm.
that. Our depression might come out some other way, might come out in a sign of anger. And so when you think about that, it's just, it's black mental health versus mental health. Yeah, it's the whole race and the way we have been stigmatized to respond in a different manner than others who have the same mental health issues that we have. What was your response to that, Dr. Candace?
Absolutely. My response to that, I totally agree with you. I have that written down on my paper and my notes here. It's actually racial as well. And my next one would be treatment. Treatment. What is difference between black mental health versus mental health is treatment. The treatment that we receive and the treatment that we have received in the past. So the treatment that we receive now and the treatment that we received. So it's received and receiving. The treatment is one to me because when we're treated a certain way, like Dr. Tyra stated that, oh, you good. You did that because you a thief. They did that because they have mental health issues. So we're gonna place them over here. But you just a thief. So that's how. The next one is stigma. Is stigma. That makes a difference too. Because that stigma as strength, as you shouldn't, as or you're just a hood, or you're just that. Where we're labeled. So that taints the mental health because we place ourselves there. Just as I, sitting here as a black woman doctor, feel a certain way when I walk in Nordstrom's. I shouldn't feel that way. I shouldn't feel that way. But stigma. And also environmental for me is also plays a very big aspect on black mental health because the environments that we are placed in and the environments that we put ourselves in. I believe in accountability as well because see now are at a forefront where there are resources, and those are like platforms like this and other resources that we need to, take advantage of, and some of us don't. But I think that's a difference too. My four is treatment, stigma, racial, and also environmental. Absolutely. Did we have any comments, Dr. T?
Yes, Eve was saying she agreed with me and would add that socioeconomical and other social aspects affect mental health in the Black communities. Dee was saying that she had a good friend who couldn't handle anything, and sometimes she would get so angry because she couldn't handle it. And then Eve also said that there is a lack in access to medical and mental health services and to community resources in general, especially in certain states and specific neighborhoods.
Absolutely.
Hmm.
Absolutely, Eve. Thank you for that.
Hmm.
Especially in
Yep. Thanks, Eve. That's a good one.
Absolutely, especially in Wisconsin. I know that for a fact. There's
Hmm.
limited access, especially in certain different communities in different states
Hmm.
for African American.
Hmm.
It really is. So what do we do about that? What do we do about that? Because a lot of us like, I don't want to move, that'll help. But then some don't want to move out. So what do we do about that? I know what I would do about that. My question to that, and Dr. T, we want to hear from you as well. What should we do about that? I think culturally competent always come to me, because Eve is right about there are limited access, but we need to have either more Black mental health professionals in those areas, or we need to have more culturally competent therapists, because a lot of times it has nothing to do with color. You can have a white therapist that is culturally competent that can also help you. So, because I do all the time, and I've had
I
that
agree.
as well.
Hmm.
Other ethnicities, it's like, oh, they know about it. They
Hmm.
know what's going on. So that
Hmm.
as well.
I agree. I agree. Cultural competence is definitely number one on the list. Because I look at when I think about all my years, as a therapist, I think about when the healthcare system I was working in, we would have other cultures, other races come through, for services, right? And these folks, it was like so crazy. They didn't even want to learn
Oh,
about Get Girl. It was a whole mess. And I would take my time out to learn about the different cultures and races and things so that I could effectively treat them. But
that's
I
right.
felt like, in the end, I felt like I was doing a disservice because why am I doing all this to communicate and y'all here working with me and y'all don't care? You know
Yeah,
what I mean? And it was just like, and it was like when I think about cultural competence, I was doing what I had to do over 20 years ago because my thing is when you work with anybody, you need to be able to work with them as
absolutely.
a whole.
As a whole, treat the whole person.
Treat
I
the
know
whole
that's
person, not
right.
half a person.
Absolutely. Treat the whole person.
Hmm.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
I like what Eve stated. She said,
yeah.
advocate against racial and social injustice. Absolutely.
Hmm.
However, just a
Hmm.
however, it's not a but, it's a beautiful however. However,
Hmm.
when we're advocating against racial and social injustice, you have to
Hmm.
have things to put in place there. You can't
Yes.
advocate. Advocate means speaking up. So you
Hmm.
speak up, and then
Hmm.
what we gonna do next? What you put in
What we doing? Hmm.
have systems to be
Hmm.
formulated to be able to put in place.
Yes.
But before
Yes.
you advocate for racial and social injustice, advocate for yourself. Advocate
Hello.
for yourself. So the Black
Hmm.
people and the African Americans that are in these
Hmm.
communities that
Hmm.
don't have access to
Hmm.
these services, advocate for yourself.
Hmm. Hmm.
Advocate. I am
Yeah.
a big believer of advocating for
Yes.
yourself.
Hmm.
Absolutely.
You
Absolutely.
have to. You
Hmm.
have to because if you and that goes with not just mental health but physical health as well. You have to advocate for yourself because nobody else is going to speak for you. And if
Yes.
they speak for you 9 times out of 10, they're not going to get it right.
Exactly. Exactly. And this is my last question. And
Hmm.
this one, it goes exactly with what Dr. Tyra just said about the mental and physical as well. When do you think that a lot of people, and we should do a topic on this, like
Hmm.
a whole segment on this, that
Hmm.
people will look and take care of their physical health and neglect the mental? How do you feel about that? Because you are a provider, you are a mental health provider. Dr. Tyra, how do you feel about that when people say, I'm healthy, I eat right, but the mental health is somewhere else? How do you feel about that?
I feel, my thing is, I try to explain to everybody that they really need to take their physical health, their mental health in consideration just as hard as they do physical health. Because what happens is, and I talk about this in every presentation that I do, when something happens to you physically, right? What happens next? Your mental. Or if you're having something going on with your physical, right? Your mind starts to go. Things start to happen and you don't understand why. Tearfulness, angry, your whole mental status. When something physical is happening to you, your mental status changes, right? And people fail to realize that that is actually what was happening. And then they're like, well, oh yeah, that did happen. No, you should have known. I feel as though that, when we go get our checkups for our, our yearly checkups, we need to do a mental checkup as well to make sure that everything is going well with us. We're not saying that you have something going on. We just saying that we want you to make sure that you're 100% well as you can be at that time. So while you're getting your physical, make sure you get your mental checked as well.
You're
Make it routine. That's all I have to say. Make it routine.
Yes, and I'm glad that we have this platform so we're able to educate people and tell them, everyone, there is a such thing as mental health checks. Just as you go get your annually checkup or you go to the dentist every 6 months, there is a such thing that is called a mental health checkup. You can ask your primary care provider and they ask a set of questions. They just see where you are, see your anxiety level, see what's going on in your life. And if they are not equipped to do it or don't have time, then they will give you a resource to a mental health professional. You can contact Dr. Tyra or myself. There is a such thing as mental health checkups. There is no diagnoses involved. So I don't want people to think, oh, wait a minute, y'all going to diagnose me? No, no, no. It's just a mental health checkup to see where you are, to see how you feel here and here. And it's very important. And this is actually something that everyone in here probably can relate or know something about. Anxiety, for instance. Do you know anxiety is a mental condition? However, it's also physical. You can have panic attacks, racing heart, sweaty, a knot in your stomach, feel nauseated, fatigue, all of that. That's physical. Those are all physical symptoms that transform their physical symptoms, but they are brought on by something mental. So that's right there proof to you all that your mental and your physical go hand in hand. So when you're taking care of one, you got to take care of the other. It goes hand in hand. You have to do it. It's imperative. So I encourage everyone to do that. So what you think, Dr. T? You encourage everyone to get mental health checkups?
Yes. Oh my goodness. Yes. Definitely get a mental health checkup. Definitely send us a DM, put a message in the comments, and we will definitely get in contact with you, back so that we can get you scheduled, for a mental
Absolutely.
health checkup,
Absolutely.
because
This is mental
it's
health month.
imperative. It's mental health month and it's imperative.
Yes, I get mines, and hey, they're amazing. You need to do it just to see
Hmm.
where you are and say,
Yep.
okay, I see what I need to work on. I see where this is
Hmm.
making me feel a certain way because your mental health can actually affect your gut health because
Yes. Oh,
90% of your serotonin, which is the happy hormone, is in your stomach. So if you're feeling a little sad, feeling a little down, and you're bloated, you may need to send Dr. Tyra or myself a DM. Absolutely. So, Dr. Tyra, what is your last beautiful, educated, inspiring word for the Mental Health Minute?
my last word for the day is just make sure to get your mental health checkups. Know that this is mental health month, and we don't want to just focus on mental health just on this month of May. We want to focus on mental health every month because it's just as important as
Yeah,
our physical health. And please take your mental health just as serious as you do your physical. What is
absolutely.
your last? What is your
Beautiful.
last word, Dr. Candace?
My last words is be kind to yourself. Take care of yourself. Put yourself first and then help others. Take care of yourself. Be loyal to you. Be kind. Rest, relax, read. I like the three R's: rest, relax, and read. Be kind to yourself. Show yourself some compassion. That's my last word. I want you to check on you. That's it. That's my last word. This was a great show. And
Awesome. This was good.
yes, next week we're gonna have fun facts. I had some today, but we ran out of time because y'all know me and Dr. Tyra get long winded. We get into this.
Yes, we do. Yes, we do.
Yes, but this was a great show. I want to tell everyone thank you so much for riding with us and rocking with us and coming in because your time is so valuable. Thank you for
Yes.
joining us. And please share this and let people know about this because this is so important about this platform. And if there's any topics or anything that you would like for Mental Health Minute to touch on, just let us
Hmm.
know. Please send your DMs, your comments, or whatever to Dr. Tyra and to myself. And thank
Yes.
you. Yes.
Yes, yes, yes. And remember to stay tuned for us every Friday as we host this show at 1 p.m. We'll let y'all know when our next show will be airing sooner rather than later and everything. And we're going to have a word from one of our sponsors. All right. All right, Dr. Candace.
Yes. All right. This was great.
This was awesome.
Yes. Thank you, everyone.
Thanks you everyone for joining us, and we will talk to all of you sooner rather than later. Any questions or anything, please definitely connect with us in the DM. Talk to you all next week. God bless.
Yes.